Hey, what's going on, guys? LikeBuTTeR here, and today the NDA has finally lifted. The embargo is up, so I can post the gameplay from a play session that I was invited out to at Redstorm a little bit over a month ago. I got hands-on with the Division 2. We got to play in the Dark Zone. We got to play, some of the different PvP game modes that I'll be talking about in later videos. But in this video, I want to talk about everything that I possibly can tell you about the Dark Zone in the Division 2. I'm sure a lot of you guys have wanted to know as much information as possible, and I am going to give you everything you need to know all in one video, okay? So, what is different from the Dark Zone in the Division 2 from the Division 1? So let's start off with the rogue system. A lot of people have been wondering about the rogue system and if it's going to be Rogue 2.0, which was the rogue system that came to be in later years in the Division 1, or is it like the rogue system when the Division 1 first came out? There are a lot of people who like the mode the way it was, and there's a lot of people that like the way that it is now in the Division 1. So let's talk about what they did to try to make both sides happy, okay? So straight up, the rogue system in its current state is the way that it was in Rogue 2.0. Basically, you need to toggle in order to go rogue before being able to do damage to other agents. So friendly fire is not on. Hold that thought though. If this upsets you, I have some news a little bit later in this video that you will like. So just hold on a second. So basically, it's exactly like it was in Rogue 2.0. There are some minor differences. For example, there's like multiple manhunt, flags that you can remove your manhunt status on. But also there are, as you can see in the video here, there are things you can do around the map to make you go rogue without you actually becoming a manhunt. So for example, a lot of the, friendly fire is going to be on a lot of the time because if you're in the Dark Zone, you're going to be going around, you're going to be doing rogue acts that may not have to do with you coming across other players. For example, if you come across a chest and you don't have a key for that chest, you guys know the Dark Zone keys will allow you to open up those chests. You can pick lock that box and get the loot from it. However, this will give you a gray rogue symbol, which will basically make you prone to being shot by other players, kind of like how it was in the Division 1 in the beginning, where you could be shot at any given moment. So the idea here was that a lot of people are going to be going around doing their own thing, trying to get loot. They're going to be clearing NPCs and landmarks. NPCs and landmarks are back, and you are going to, a lot of the time, have that rogue status, that gray rogue status, which will, allow you to be shot at any given time. So you still have that, on the edge of your seat feeling. Now, these things that we're basically activating around the map are going to allow us into a rogue-specific safe house that is going to have, a vendor in there that you can do, quests for, you can do missions for. And that's going to only be available for people who are rogue. So it's going to incentivize people who may not ever go rogue to go rogue in other ways besides shooting people. Now, the system is exactly the same. You kill people, your rogue system goes up. Eventually, you'll hit manhunt, and the only way to remove your manhunt is to go to the manhunt checkpoints that you can then remove your manhunt status. Now, I found this to be actually really fun because in the Division 2, there isn't one singular Dark Zone. There are 3 Dark Zones, and they are split up to be in small, compact areas. So you're not going to be in a situation where somebody goes rogue or manhunt and they run across the entire map away from you. You can't do that anymore. Also, you can't camp checkpoints. If you have a rogue status, you will not be able to go near a checkpoint. You will get mowed down by these turrets that are up around the checkpoints to keep people from checkpoint camping. Okay? So if you're worried about getting checkpoint camped the way that it was in Division 1, that will never happen in these zones. Now, I'm getting pretty excited talking about this because there's a big catch to all this that I'm telling you right now. So basically, of the 3 zones, 2 of them are going to be regular zones, which is going to be, normalized gear, which means the gear that you bring in the Dark Zone when it comes to PvP, you are going to have that normalized like it was in, you know, the Division 1 in the PvP modes, right? Like Last Stand, how everything was normalized in Last Stand, or in Skirmish, you know, the 4v4 mode, everything was normalized. Everything in these two like zones, these two dark zones, are going to be normalized. However, the thing that I am the most excited to tell you guys about is that there is going to be one of these zones that is going to be considered quote unquote occupied. Now, this dark zone is going to be the most hardcore experience that you could ever imagine. It's going to be much like Survival in the Division 1, where there is no rogue system. There is absolutely no rogue system. You can't see rogues on the map. You can't see people through walls. It is full-blown as hardcore as it gets. Your gear isn't normalized, which means that people with the better gear are going to have an advantage. So it's about as close to the day one rogue system as you can get, but also the cool thing is that the NPCs are going to be harder. It's going to be a much harder core experience. And also the drops that you get in these occupied zones are going to have compressed stats. Now, I talked to Terry Spear. He's like the guy when it comes to PvP, him and Keith Evans. And he was explaining to me, you're not going to necessarily get better drops in the occupied zones, but you're going to get your stats compressed. That is going to increase your chances to get a better item than what you have. So this is like kind of the way they made it. With Division 1, they added the optimization table. And I guess this is a way that they're going to make it so that you feel like you're progressing more if you want to do hardcore activities without needing the need of an optimization table, right? Like, so the idea is that the drops that you're getting, contaminated gear, is going to have a smaller window of stats. You know how in Division 1 there was like a range? Well, you're always going to be on the higher side of that range if you're getting drops in the occupied zones. So that's going to be super cool. Another thing I wanted to mention with this is that there's actually two different types of drops you can get in the Dark Zone. In the Division 1, they kind of started to do this a little bit towards the end when they were giving you rewards for clearing landmarks. You still get rewards for clearing landmarks, but now some of the gear that drops in the Dark Zone, whether it's off, NPCs or you get from a crate, there is a chance that the gear isn't contaminated. And if the gear isn't contaminated, when you pick up that item, it is in your item to keep. Kind of like what they tried doing with the Ninja Bike backpack, if you remember a while back, how you could basically keep a piece of gear, you wouldn't drop a piece of gear. Well, everyone hated that because, it wasn't really that good of a thing, but they're building that into the overall system, which is really good. So when you're in the Dark Zone, and I think this is going to make a lot more people want to go in the Dark Zone, you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment, like when you're in there. Even if you're dying and PvPing a lot, you're going to be gaining something, because some of those drops you get from landmarks, NPCs, from crates, all that could not be contaminated, so it'll immediately go into your inventory. But the contaminated items tend to have better stats, so they didn't go too much into detail on that. I'll probably let them further elaborate on that. But overall, I just want to say the feeling of the Dark Zone in the Division 2 is phenomenal. It reminds me of Escape from Tarkov, where when you're in there, you kind of just feel very, very uncomfortable. Like, it is dark, it is scary, it is gloomy. The lights from the street lights illuminating through the trees and just giving you that really spooky kind of almost horror game feel. They did such a phenomenal job with the Dark Zone in the Division 2, and there are so many things that we could be excited for. The landmarks, the NPCs were so good. It reminds me of the Division 1, the first trailer where they showed how the NPCs were kind of interacting with each other, and they're talking, and the way they're yelling to each other and making out call outs and saying, "Yo, F you, Division Agent," and like the way they're moving around. It reminds me of the original, trailer of the Division 1, where you can tell when you're sneaking up on these people that they actually have real human interactions with each other. They're not just kind of, walking around the Dark Zone like they were in the Division 1. So the Division 2 Dark Zone is so amazing, and it's great that there's going to be, a portion of content for each individual player. Now, one of the cool things that you're going to see in a video that I think is going to be posted after this one, where when you first get into the Dark Zone, there's basically no players, right? There's like a tutorial mission that allows you to kind of get the hang of the Dark Zone for people who are new. And that tutorial mission is going to be really good to kind of incentivize people going to the DZ, because the Dark Zone, really, they want that to be their end game activity, right? They want, everyone to feel like they can go into the Dark Zone and get something out of it, instead of just going in and getting griefed like it was in the Division 1, because there was no way to really get gear if you were constantly getting hunted by rogues. So the fact that they're going to have 2 zones dedicated to, kind of like a more softer core version of the Dark Zone, then they're going to have that one occupied zone that I'm going to be spending most of my time in, that is going to be so cool. Like, it's just going to be madness. So think of like the Dark Zones in the Division 2 as more of like a mode than it is like an open world area. It's not an open world area anymore, although the Dark Zone like sizes of the map still feel pretty big. There will be some underground areas, there will be a lot of places you can go to kind of flank teams and stuff, so don't feel like the Dark Zone is too enclosed. Now, each Dark Zone area is going to have 12 players, which means this is only 3 squads. Now, at first I was kind of a little bit like skeptical about this, for the fact that, well, that seems like there may not be any crazy amounts of craziness going on. But when you play it a little bit more, you start to see, because there's only like 2 extraction points in each Dark Zone, and that there's only like 3 or 4 landmarks in each Dark Zone. I think I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4. It might be a little bit more than that. I think that the way that they have it is really good. So what they basically did is, in Division 1, there was 24 players in a Dark Zone lobby. They chopped that in half, but it chopped the size of the Dark Zone in 3. So in theory, there should be more people around and about in a concentrated area. What they're trying to do is they're trying to keep like people from spreading out too much, right? In the Division 1, when they extended the map, it was great. Dark Zone North was one of the coolest areas in the game, but the problem was it stayed 24 players, so you couldn't like guarantee that people were going to be in a similar area in the map, right? Like, you couldn't guarantee that there was going to be conflict. Like, there were some times you were on a server and you felt like you were the only one there, because 16 of the 24 people were all concentrated in Dark Zone 1 and 2, which made the top part of the map completely wide open. So what I'm assuming they're going to do is they're going to add more Dark Zones as time goes on. I had an interview with Terry. He said they were very, very concentrated on endgame content, and that they want to make sure that the game evolves over time. So I think what they're going to do is like, instead of extending the Dark Zones, they're going to add more Dark Zones. So instead of just like, east, west, and south, they may do Dark Zone North. They may do Dark Zone Northeast. They may do Dark Zone Northwest, so on and so forth, and kind of just spread these chunks of Dark Zone in hardcore areas around the map. And I think that would be really, really cool. Now, I asked him why the reason to change to only 12 players in a Dark Zone instance, and he said there were a couple reasons for that. He talked about, like, how the separation of players, how it could be really inconsistent in such a big zone, so they wanted to compress that zone. And also, he talked about how much better the netcode is and the performance of the game when you don't have 20 to 24 people running around in a very small, compact area. So there is going to be a lot of madness still in the Dark Zone, and I don't think, just because it's on a smaller scale, I don't think it will take away the feeling from the Dark Zone, because, dude, the Dark Zone is full of hardcore PvE content, things to do. It's not just going around and finding people to kill. You're going to have crates to lockpick. You're going to have, special loot boxes to find. You're going to have landmarks to clear. You're going to have, all the gear to get. It's going to be awesome. And this is actually footage on the Xbox One, by the way. And I can honestly say that this game ran phenomenally on the Xbox One. I can't stress like how smooth it felt. And as a PC player, it's very hard for me to go back to a console, because because of the low frame rate and, you know, the fact that I haven't really used a controller in so long. But I can honestly say that they did a fantastic job with the Xbox One X version of this game. You know, it felt smooth. I didn't feel like there were a lot of frame drops, and it just overall felt like a really good experience. So you guys on console should, you know, be able to, I always have that feedback on my channel. You should try on console. What's it like going to be on console? So you guys don't even have to worry about this. This is like Xbox gameplay. So yeah, I am super excited for the future of this game, super excited for the future of the Dark Zone, and yeah, I think that the Dark Zone is going to be a much better place for everyone, and I also think that the Dark Zone is going to be something that people can really hold on to when it comes to end game content. And even if you want to play it through, you know, you're upping to level 30 or whatever it is, you know, that's always something you can do as well. So hopefully I covered everything about the Dark Zone in this video. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, and I don't think they probably gonna mention it yet. They said the plan was to have the occupied zone rotate between the 3 areas, so we'll have to see how that goes. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to make it into the game or if it's going to stay one area. I hope it rotates, because if it rotates, that'd be cool. And I really want to see like exclusive rewards for each Dark Zone. So for example, like in the occupied Dark Zone, it'd be cool if you could get special commendations or special rewards for doing things in that specific Dark Zone and make people feel like, you know, you get something from going in there. But you don't want to force players to have to feel like they need to go into that hardcore experience, because like I said, that experience is for the hardcore players, and probably the hardcore players only. You know, it reminds me, we didn't get a chance to play it, but from what it sounds like it's going to be like an Escape from Tarkov kind of feel, where the game is going to be very unforgivable, and if you go in there, you are going to have to be very, very well prepared and well equipped for what's going to be brought down on your ass. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully this video gave you guys a lot of Dark Zone information. Remember, now that the embargo is lifted, I am going to be releasing a stupid amount of Division 2 you know, content. I'm going to be giving you guys a ton, absolute ton of new footage. I also have a couple events coming up soon, so I should be able to get even more footage for you guys. And thank you guys so much. I love you all very much. Be sure to drop the video a like if you enjoyed, and let me know what you think of the Dark Zone news in the comments below. If I end up missing anything, I'll probably make a follow-up video to this one, because I'm sure I'm going to miss some stuff, since I was just basically going off the top of my dome here, because I wanted you guys to really get an idea of how passionate I am for this game. You know, it's crazy. So thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everybody.